Welcome all souls, welcome all pens, welcome all papers, printers, and printing pressers. Welcome to the Story Element Auction. Tonight we're presenting rare and exclusive story elements writers can use in their story however they please, for the price of the number of words they'll write in their next writing sessions, but they've got to bid on them first. So let's get going, let's get cracking, let's get whacking! First up is this beautiful, apocalyptic, inciting incident. Bidders, you may start your bid at this time.
Ooh, I'll take that. I bid 50 words. No way. I want to take that. It would go great with my story linguini I've been cooking tonight. 100 words.
100 words, 100 words. Do I hear 150, 150, 150 words?
150 words! Gotta give my next Ranger fanfic some world-ending stakes.
150 words, 150 words. Do I hear 200, 200, anybody? 200 words.
200 words. 250 words.
400 words!
600.
Ooh, I'm quite busy tonight. Not sure I can spare enough time to write 600 words.
Really? You're busy tonight. Fancy telling us something, old buddy, old pal?
Screw it. 700 words!
1,000 words. My story demands this inciting incident.
Dang it! All right, Luigi, I guess it's yours.
1,000 words. Do I hear any more? Going once, going twice. And so to Luigi Alfredo di Papier.
Grazie. My story linguini will taste so good tonight.
Hey, Donald, I've been thinking lately, isn't this Luigi character you voice, well, kinda offensive?
Nah, it's okay. I'm Italian, so I get special privileges.
Really? You're Italian?
Well, more than anything else.
Next up for auction is the merciless assassin anti-hero. Begin your bids now.
Ooh, that's mine! I want to write that for my next dark masterpiece. They're gonna be so worthless! 100 words.
Nah, I want that for my Happy Rainbows and Sunshine story. It'll be so subversive. 200 words.
I will not let you waste a character for a stupid rainbow story. 300 words.
400 words.
500 words.
500 words. Do I hear 600, 600? Anybody? 600 words.
I'll take it. It'll make my linguini extra spicy. 600 words.
Ooh, Luigi's getting bold enough.
700 words.
800.
900.
Well, I suppose my linguini doesn't need it that badly. 1,000 words, you hear me? 1,000 words!
No, I must have that character. I want that character. 1,500 words.
Well, if you're gonna cry over it, I guess I'll...
2,000 words! I want that character in my platoon so bad, I would crawl through 500 yards of bile and sewage just to recruit him.
Going once, going twice. Sold to the sergeant of the 21st Riders Battalion.
I don't believe this.
Me neither. I had no idea the name of the sergeant's battalion.
I had no idea he was a writer.
Our final item for the day is the racing to the airport after the love interest climax. The classic, tried and true trope. Begin your bids, writers.
Ooh, that'd go great for my mystery thriller novel. 200 words.
No, that'd go great for my sci-fi horror novel. 300 words.
Well, I'm not sure if either of you understand what kind of stories you're writing, apparently, but 300 words it is. Do I hear 400 from anybody? 400 words.
500 words.
500 words.
600.
600 words.
700.
800.
900.
1,000.
Over 1,000. I'll go 1,500.
2,000 words.
Wow, both of you really want this cliched as heck story element, it seems. We're at 2,000 words. Do I hear anything of
3,000.
4,000.
5,000 words.
10,000 words.
10,000 words? Boy, someone's doing a lot of writing tonight.
Really, Donald? Do you really have that much time in your next session?
No, I don't at all.
Me neither. 15,000.
20,000.
20,000. Do I hear 21,000? 21,500 maybe?
25,000.
30,000.
50,000.
Whoa. A whole NaNoWriMo's worth of story in your next one session. Are you sure you want this?
Yeah, David. Are you sure you want that?
No. I'm not really.
100,000 words.
Holy
Oh, thank God.
Tell me about it.
Going once. Going twice. Sold to Luigi Alfredo di Papier. Thank you so much for participating in this story element auction tonight.
Luigi, are you sure you have that kind of time to write?
Do you hear this ridiculous accent I have? I have no life beyond the story cooking. Oh, mamma mia, my linguine is going to be so delicious. Huh. Maybe that character is a little offensive. Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of the Writ, the show with two hosts that epitomize the stereotype of poor, starving artist. Although not literally starving, since we're as blubbery as walruses.
You know, if we started eating off our fat because we were truly poor, then maybe we would look like starving artists.
But too bad.
But
We just eat an exorbitant amount, though, of food.
And speaking of which,
I didn't even see what the word was until just a second ago. I came up with that real quick.
sometimes we have to give him credits. The vocabulary vitamin of the month is exorbitant. EXORBITANT.
Yes.
The simple definition, unbearably much.
Yes.
The sample sentence, the electric bill this month was exorbitant because of your wastefulness.
Well, no, what did I do? Oh, yeah, I created a monster in the laboratory. That's right.
Thanks, Frankenstein. Now go on and take your vitamin, listeners. Until next set.
You mean Rittenstein? Or
Well, Rittenstein, but like the... never
yeah,
mind.
to keep it...
Never mind!
You're referencing something that's outside of our show. I'm referencing something that's in our show.
Oh, your humor is exorbitantly bad. All right, anyways.
You're being generous.
No.
All right, well, speaking of
Anyways.
things that are bad...
As you can see from the title, we're back with more Witties. Boo!
Yay!
About this disaster of a year that was 2020. And speaking of disasters,
Let's talk
here's
about
the bad stuff.
Let's the stuff we really did not like.
But
At least
just,
that I didn't like.
I was about to say, here's a disclaimer. I probably have very little input on what came onto these lists, so probably.
I'll get you a pizza afterwards or something.
For what?
For doing this, you're a champ, man. You're a trooper. Oh, you don't hate it that much, hopefully.
We are so underqualified, it's ridiculous.
That's more the reason why you don't like.
I don't like it because I feel like I'm denuded of having anything valuable to add. Anyway,
Have you listened to our show? We don't add anything valuable to anything in the world.
no, that is not true. We added that 100th episode skit, and that was amazing. What are you talking
Okay, well,
about?
I guess that was all right. But otherwise, this is totally on brand.
So professional. Anyways, works others need to stop ripping off.
AKA the most overrated work of 2020. I guess you want to add the Witties here for any episode of the Witties.
Well, I mean, most overrated work of 2020 would be last year's Witties. So 2019 Witties. No, I won't. It's not overrated. It's properly rated at 0.
How dare you?
Nobody has favorited it. You know that phrase that I threw out last week? That everything is somebody's favorite? I have yet to meet the person who said that the Witties are their favorite, except you.
I was going to say me.
But you're the creator. That's like...
My friend Christina likes
That's
them,
unfair.
but she likes every episode we do. So.
Well, yeah. Thanks for listening, Christina. We love you.
All right, love you too. Okay. All right, so first off, oh yeah, you gotta say
Nominee.
Tenet. Christopher Nolan, you went too far to the sun this time.
Icarus is falling because of you.
Like,
well, the movie theaters are about to fail if it wasn't for him. So there's.
Well, no, I think he made it worse because he opened it in the middle of the pandemic and he showed that, oh yeah, this isn't gonna work.
Well, I mean, and this is part of the reason we aren't getting certain films from more successful and more critically pleasing companies because they're like, oh, well, you have an exclusivity window in theaters, but we can't really do that right now because it's not safe.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, I don't know, I just didn't like Tenet. Like, it just, Christopher Nolan, even discounting the fact that it might have either saved or doomed cinemas, depending on who you ask.
Who you ask, yeah.
It was way, way too complicated. Also, the main character doesn't have a name. His name is the protagonist, which is the most pretentious pile of crap I have heard. We're
We're writers, guys. We can come up with that better than that in our
That
sleep.
is like the first thing you're supposed to do with a character, for the most part. I think.
Well, I would say
one of the first.
One of the first, maybe not the first, because like the first is this like idea of a character. It doesn't have to be named right away.
Right, I guess that's true. All right, fine.
So like the guy I knew who had his initials were TNT because of a personality I wanted to do with him.
Right.
You know,
That's
I didn't
true.
come up with the actual name until after I knew his initials had to spell TNT.
Well, so usually that's one of the first things
Right.
you do. So anyways.
But I mean, Christopher Nolan's things generally tend to be quite complicated. Now, I'm not saying
No,
he
I
isn't
get
an
that.
auteur.
No, he's great. Like I've liked pretty much every film I've seen of his, except for this, and parts of Interstellar were kind of but
He did Interstellar?
yeah.
I thought that was somebody else.
Nope,
Like George
no.
Clooney was involved with that, I think.
No, that's Gravity you're thinking of.
He wasn't involved with both.
No, Matthew McConaughey's in Interstellar.
There are too many space movies. I get them all mixed up. Anyway, Tenet was not a space movie, but it was about as out
It's a
there
time
as one.
movie. It's
It was
a-
about as out there as a space movie.
We have space movies. Now we have a time movie. Interstellar's both actually, which talks about relativity. So.
While we're on the
Actually,
subject,
all of
because this
Christopher
is
Nolan's movies are about time in some way.
somehow or other, including Dark Knight trilogy. Anyway,
Batman Begins has a lot of flashbacks.
well, anyway, while we're on the subject, because I don't think we'll get back to it, I believe that theaters are an experience that are worth sharing, but they must be shared safely. And so hopefully theaters survive in a form that you can go with your friends and enjoy the community of that.
yeah,
But I don't really care for going to the theater and paying way too much for the privilege.
I really, really like theaters. I think it's a great experience, but it's not safe now. So for all the movies that are coming out that are just sitting on the shelves, just wasting money.
Well, that's the thing. If
should-
they don't open it up in theaters, they're losing more.
But
is the argument.
I think they
That's why
should
they're not
open
doing
them.
it.
I guess maybe now I'll say hybrid release for people who want, but ideally just on streaming, just to get them released. And then once theaters are back open, then
But
resume
then it's
schedule.
no longer new, you see.
That's the
impetus of going to the
not
theater is
re-release new
kind of
movies,
gone.
not re-release the old movies. I'm saying just release the new movies in theaters from then on. Never.
So, like, take a hypothetical Black Widow.
Yeah.
Instead of releasing it in theaters, you want to release streaming, and then it never goes to theaters at all. In your model.
If by May we're still not safe and they still think they should do that, then yes, it would take a hit
The problem-
financially, but Disney can live with that.
Disney can certainly swallow the hit financially. The point that
It just gets the movie
point
out
of
there.
contention, though, is that it has in its contract an exclusivity clause,
Well, exclusivity.
meaning it has to be only in theaters.
Well, then they fricked themselves.
But that was the model for so long. You see why this is a problem. Anyway,
Disney can be all full Darth Vader. I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it further.
well, I mean, here's
But,
the biggest thing for me is that
I want theaters
I
to survive.
appreciate going with friends. I wish it were cheaper, and I sure as heck don't want to spend an arm and a leg for concessions. But the experience, the great screen, the comfortable seating, the
wonderful
camaraderie
sound.
of
Yeah.
being with people in the theater, I really do miss that.
I miss that too. Like seeing an
But-
epic action movie in Dolby is great.
But I am also a cheap, frugal SOB who wants to enjoy it at
Har,
home
har,
and save
har.
a bunch of money.
Arr, har, har. There's a path for you on the high seas, me hearty.
This is never mind. Nominee.
Schitt's Creek.
Speaking of shitting,
When did we talk about shitting?
as in bull. Anyway,
It's I've seen funnier sitcoms. I've seen more wholesome sitcoms. I've seen
you haven't seen this sitcom
I
as the
actually
joke
have.
you're leading up to.
I have seen this sitcom. But it's not that funny. It's not that nice. Like some people say, oh, it's just a pleasant watch. I've seen pleasanter watch. It's just a load of nothing. And also some of the characters are really annoying. So it's fine. Like I like parts of it, but it swept all the Emmys in its last season this year. It doesn't deserve that.
In my middle of the road, net neutral, net positive,
Like, I'm sure-
fence sitter opinion, hats off to them for having success that the show probably doesn't deserve because it's not notable in any particular way.
No, it's just a pleasant-ish watch, but I've seen pleasanter watch. It's
Well,
not.
I mean,
it's sort of
sitcoms-
funny. It's sort of nice. It's sort of.
Well, sitcoms
Like-
anymore, for me, are always hit or miss.
Right.
Like, even going back to Friends, certain episodes of Friends, which I was never as a Friends file as you, but, like, some of them are great. Some of them are not as great.
Yeah, there's certain episodes of Friends I don't really like, but I like a lot of them, so yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Nominee.
Tiger King. Thankfully, everyone has shut up about this so far, but my God, it was all that anyone could ever talk about for a bit.
It's really sad to think that Tiger King and its package is basically one of the last entries into what we called monoculture.
What is that?
So, like, it was subsuming everything. Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody paying attention to it, tweeting
Well, I
about
think
it
it
forever.
came out like just a couple weeks into quarantine, so
Well, and that has a lot to do with it, too. The timing of that was, I guess, in that respect, fortuitous, if you will.
right.
But, like, the show itself is just bizarre.
It
isn't
is.
it? Like,
Did you-
I haven't
have you-
even seen it.
Oh, I was gonna say, how would you know? But I've seen bits of it, and it's a documentary. These are real people doing this, and people say, you know,
As in, you can't make this shit's creek up.
oh, yeah, they're up shit creek without a paddle. That is where the name came from. So,
Shit up a creek without a paddle. Anyway.
anyways, but basically, like people say, like I think it's even though the show presents them as really bad people, by having them have a show at all, it kind of glorifies them. Like, people say, oh, it's not glorifying them, it's showing them what assholes they are. And I'm like, yeah, but they still have a show on Netflix that's popular. Inherently, that somewhat glorifies them. I mean, some people might see it differently, but that, even if it's saying, oh, this is bad, and you shouldn't, these people are bad, and you shouldn't do them, you still gave them a platform to show them.
It's drawing attention.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily good or bad. That's up to the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's drawing attention, and some things are not worth our attention. Is that fair?
Yeah. I'd say.
Even as net positive as I am generally, some things are not worth the airtime.
Anyways.
I don't know if Tiger King qualifies because I haven't seen it. So underqualified to do this dang job. Nominee.
Ghost of Tsushima. Have you heard of this video game?
I've heard of the game. I've heard a lot of backlash about it too.
I've heard a lot. Well, see, the thing is, I just am annoyed by it because it came out around the same time as Last of Us Part 2. And so people were like, no, this is the one that should win Game of the Year. Like, it was the one that everyone...
And it did.
It did for gamer-voted ones.
Well, Game Informer had their awards, and this basically swept, like, every category.
Right, but it's like... You know, I'm sure the game's good. I've actually heard the game is actually quite good. I was just annoyed by people propping it up while saying, Last of Us sucks. It's kind of like how... When Captain Marvel came out, it also came out at the same time, or close to the same time as Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, God.
And people kept propping up Alita Battle Angel, like, this is how you do female empowerment. This was all men saying this, by the way, so...
Yeah, what do they know? What do we know anyway? God
what do we
dang
know
Y
about
chromosomes.
what are we doing about female empowerment? Nothing. We're not female. We don't know. So...
Well, and what was the thing in Endgame where they had the girl power moment and the guys are like, yeah, that's awesome. But the girls are like, that's really stupid. They shouldn't need to make a moment for this.
Right. I've seen yeah, I kind of agree with that. But like a lot of people, like it's like that's the epitome of mansplaining for you to say, no, this isn't what you should be empowered by. This is what you should be empowered by. Anyways.
Let's not turn into deranged.
Anyways, Ghost of
Trump
Tsushima, I'm sure
supporters.
is fine. I just got annoyed by it. It's not going to win here. So.
Nominee.
Cyberpunk 2077. This was an epic story in the gaming world.
I seem to remember that the company that was in charge of this had all of these updates that were always in this neon yellow like thing, and so we talk about why they're delaying it. It'd talk about various like downloadable content. It'd talk about all this stuff. And so anytime you saw that yellow, people were conditioned to think, oh God, they're delaying it further.
And they should have delayed it even further. The game was released unfinished, which, you know, some people could say, and I actually say this later, that the executives wanted to release it sooner so they could get their bonuses, which, you know, that's the real problem, you know, releasing it when it's not ready. However, this game was announced in 2012.
It takes a village. It really does. And
like,
it's unfortunate.
They've had plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, rushing it when it's not done, but the bigger issue is why wasn't it done?
Like they said, it wasn't ready for it's pretty much unplayable on the older consoles. It only works really on the newer consoles.
Well, maybe they retooled to make it compatible with the new
Yeah.
PS5 and
Yes,
Xbox
but the thing is,
Series.
2012, the PS4 and Xbox One still hadn't been released yet. They were still in the previous generation, the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation.
Yeah.
Like-
It's a mess. If you want to talk about a heart attack waiting to happen and the stress levels of being in video game creation industry, oh my God, those horror stories are just frantic.
But and like I remember leading up to Cyberpunk 2077, whenever other companies like Blizzard did something that was like particularly kind of shady, they'd be like, "Oh, this is really bad." And people like, "Oh, but CD Projekt Red, who are the guys who did Cyberpunk? They're the ones we can trust. Like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be the one that's really good." And people kept propping it up and up and up, and I'm like, "This is going to backfire, guys. You know this is going to backfire."
This category is basically what I did with the movie James Cameron put out, Avatar.
Yes.
Because everybody's like, "Oh, it's so great, and then I got to it, and
be
I'm just
fair,
like,
no
I
one-
don't want to.
To be fair, your opinion is now the majority for a lot of people. I saw a video that was like Avatar is underrated, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with that now. When was the last time you heard someone talk positively about Avatar?
Well, these things do happen in cycles, but we need to figure out a winner for works others need to stop ripping off. And I'm going to go with...
Yeah, I'll let you decide again. I don't know when you decide, because you haven't seen any of these, and I've seen actually all of them except for Ghost of Tsushima. So,
well, experience, because you don't really see Ghost of Tsushima. I'm
I
thinking
haven't
that
played.
one.
You're thinking, okay, all right,
Fair?
fair.
All right. The winner is... Tiger King.
Shut the hell up about Tiger King. To be fair, most people have at this point.
I was
so.
laughing because we were so in sync. That's hilarious. Anyway, the next category is creators that others need to stop ripping off.
AKA creators that are bad and should feel bad.
For various reasons. Not that their entire over is awful. Although, what was God, who was it that dissed superhero films? Martin Scorsese?
Martin Scorsese.
I did not,
I'm smart. I'm a smart.
I did
Martin
not say
Scorsese.
Smartin Scorsese. I said Smartin Scorsese because I screwed up he was
Martin Scorsese
was the guy who completely railed against superheroes being they weren't proper films or whatever.
without even seeing them. How dare he judge them without even seeing them? I mean, can you imagine the audacity
You see why
of
I
us
go net
judging these things without ever seeing them? Now let's judge things that we haven't seen, shall we? Okay.
That is entirely on brand. But this is why I insist that I need to experience it for myself before I make an opinion.
Right. Well, I don't know. I agree. Whenever you say that, I totally agree. My logic is that this isn't serious. So,
So for our, I guess Razzies this year. Anyway,
the
no, I'm kidding.
Witties. What are you talking about? Don't soil the brand of the Witties with the Razzies.
Well, that's the equivalent, right? We're giving these people Razzies.
Well, what if they're good? I mean, this part maybe, but anyway, fine. Well,
Nominee.
for this Razzies with a W at the beginning.
Wazzies?
No, Razzies, but W
Oh,
R W.
Razzies. Okay, fair
like
enough.
writing.
I follow you now. I
Alright.
said it, and you just hadn't paid attention, though.
Oh, okay. Well, nominate
I did!
Christopher Nolan
All right, why is Christopher Nolan on here this year?
for insisting his movie play in theaters in the middle of a pandemic because he wouldn't dare have it available on streaming where people would be safe.
There's a certain lack of civic responsibility to insist that people have to gather
He wouldn't
in
even
mass settings
Initially,
just to see your product.
Initially, he wouldn't even let people watch it in drive-in theaters. Like that's the one theater that's safe. Drive-in movie theaters. You said last episode some people are having a good 2020. Drive-in theaters had a great 2020.
That is true.
So,
Well, their business was basically revitalized because you had no choice.
right.
If you wanted to go to a theater, you can do it with the people in your little bubble, or as Donald likes to refer to them in pod, that you go with them and you enjoy a movie outdoors in your car. That's safer than sitting in a theater where everybody's mixing germs and
breathing on each other.
masticating the popcorn
food,
that costs way too much.
They have to get to support the theaters because you're there to support the theaters. Theaters don't make money off of the ticket; they make money off of the concessions. So,
And that's really, I don't like, never mind. Moving on. But yes, so that Christopher Nolan, why are you on the ego
I
trip,
lost
bro?
a lot of respect for him.
Why
this
you go
year,
on the ego
so-
trip, bro? Come on. Nominee.
CD Projekt Red. At least the executives mandating it. I mean, the developers seem nice, but again, it's kind of fishy that it took them 8 years to still have it unfinished. Like,
It's either they tried doing too much and failed,
yeah.
or they did it with too few people, and that's why it came up short.
Something like that.
I don't know, but either way, it really does not reflect well on a company. Now,
No.
as we talked about, development hell for video games, oh my God. If I wanted to go white in my hair, I would try and get into that industry.
You know the story of Duke Nukem Forever, right?
You'll have to refresh me.
Another time. We need to go through it to this. But basically, yeah, CD Projekt Red. And also, it was really scummy of them. I don't know if this was the executives or the developers, probably someone in between. When doing review copies, when getting out review copies, they gave out review copies specifically of the newer console versions. They knew the older console versions were unfinished and broken, and they hid that from the reviewers. That is scummy.
Well, and this is less scummy. It's actually almost popular now that people will put so much effort into a trailer to show people, like, oh, look at what our game can do, but then the actual game pales by comparison.
Right. No, there's been a lot of examples. I remember when Watch Dogs was first announced at an E3, and there's a specific moment where you're walking on a street, and then on the E3 video, it's so detailed. There's so much stuff going on, but the actual gameplay of the same thing, it's not even close. Like that
Well,
was.
and movies are guilty of this too. They'll do a little bit of skullduggery on the scene, so
Right.
you don't ruin all the surprises. They edit out footage. They add scenes that aren't there just to draw your attention, and it works.
Right.
I just don't like that they kind of pull the rug out from under your feet there,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Anyway,
All right. Anyways,
nominee.
Disney live-action movie studio. Apparently, it's all from one subset of the Disney branch, and it needs to stop. Like these other people, it's like the Icarus sort of thing, where like they wanted to do too much and it backfired. This is more they're not doing enough. They're just
Not doing enough. What do you mean?
They're just copying the old ones and making them worse.
You're saying they're not differentiating them enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Sorry,
when they
I thought you said doing enough. Like, they're making all these movies. What do you mean not doing enough?
well, no,
They're not doing a very good job. They're blatant cash grabs.
Yeah, they are, and sometimes they try to do something different, like with Mulan, but it doesn't work. And like
Well, I'm sorry.
they make it worse.
The biggest benefit to doing live action is to get people who have model good looks and typical actor good looks on screen that people will want to watch. But if that's the only reason you're making a new, touched up thing, why do it? Why not and tell a different story, or at least do it a different way?
The only one of these, well, there's two of them that I think are actually quite good. It's Cinderella, the one directed by Kenneth Branagh, and The Jungle Book, the one directed by Jon Favreau. So
interesting. I was when I first heard you say that, I was going to think you were talking about Aladdin, because they added a song for that.
Aladdin was okay.
And the other one that came to my mind, although this is more personal bias showing, is Beauty and the Beast.
See, that one, it missed the point in a lot of different things, so I don't know.
But it had Emma Watson.
It did have Emma Watson.
As I said, bias.
Auto-tuned and all in her singing.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
All right.
But seeing her in that bell dress, whoo, boy, that invoked feelings I did not know I needed.
I liked the voice of the snake in Jungle Book. Scarlett Johansson can talk to me like that any day.
What was the one I used to use about the actress who was in the Captain America films? Haley Atwell can do anything she wants to me. All right. So. All of these are variously scummy for various different reasons.
I think it's between, as much as I really don't like what CD Projekt Red did, I think it's between Christopher Nolan and Disney live action movie studio. Also, there's something that in Mulan they filmed in this one area in China, which is fine, film on location. But it's at this part where, at the same province, there are internment camps.
Well, is that where they used for the film, or is it just that they happened to be in that location?
Well, the thing is, they chose to film in that location.
So they chose to film at the internment camp.
Not at the internment, but the same province at the internment camp are in, and they thanked them for the filming, for the filming it there. When that gives money to that part by filming there, they gave money to that
To
province.
that internment camp.
And by
Basically.
extension, that internment camp. So that's real bad.
That's pretty scummy.
We have green screen for a reason.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with. I've got a winner in mind, but I'm assuming.
I'm assuming based off hearing that story, it's the Disney.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry that's for one thing, they're blatant cash grabs, and I don't know why people are still signing up because they don't really add enough to justify its existence.
Nope.
So I can't stand it. At least Christopher Nolan, the rest of his over, is pretty good. Tenet might
That's
even
true.
be a good movie.
It's true. I've heard it's fine,
But-
which is way better than I've heard about.
But Christopher Nolan, I mean, that was not a great decision.
What
on
Christopher Nolan
Nolan's part.
did was not good. His movie and his content was fine, but we did that before with Bryan Singer. Like his movies are good, but his actions. But what Nolan did here is nothing like what
No,
Bryan
we're
Singer
not
did.
equating the two.
So I think you're right. So the winner is Disney live action movie studios. Stop doing it.
Please, just you don't need to remake these things. They're already animated classics. Do something different for a change.
Do something new.
What a thought. I mean, we are writers, so there you go.
Anyways.
All right, next category: parts/elements we should not rip off.
AKA worst bit or element of a work in 2020.
Have at it. Nominee.
The sound mixing in Tenet. Apparently the sound effects and the music is so blaringly loud that you can barely hear the dialogue.
Yeah, that's not really smart.
And Christopher Nolan was like, no, you're just not hearing it right. Like, he didn't.
Well,
he
to
said
be-
it was fine.
On one hand, defending your people is good. Going to bat for your production
Right.
team is good because he probably didn't do that himself.
Mm-hmm.
On the other, it makes the movie unintelligible, and that's just not.
And it's already a movie you have to pay a lot of attention to.
Oh my gosh. Nominee.
A weird CGI face of Mandalorian. I won't spoil it for you because you haven't seen it, but you might have heard about it.
Well, as long as it's not Baby, I don't think Baby Yoda had a CGI face, did it?
No, that was a puppet.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, they might have done some CGI touch-ups to make it more expressive, but
I don't know
Anyways.
what you're referring to, but
anyways.
hey, those of you who are familiar with Mandalorian must know what he's talking about.
Right. It's a really good moment, but the CGI face ruins it. Actually, no, it doesn't ruin it, but it makes it
Uncanny
significantly less impactful than it should be. All right.
Nominee.
The old Sonic design for Sonic the Hedgehog. We actually did this last year, too.
Yeah, we did.
But that was for the trailer,
Yeah, that's true.
and the movie itself came out this year.
But if the movie itself did not use the old design,
That's
so
true, the
it's kind of a
The
stretch.
trailer did, and the trailer came out in 2019. So, yeah, okay, I guess that one's not going to win.
I was about to say, we shouldn't... Anyway, wait. Nominee.
The area with the internment camps they filmed in for Mulan.
Yeah.
Nominee. He's already selecting it as the winner.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not selecting it as the winner. You forgot to delete that question mark I
Right.
left in there.
Okay.
Because you said something different. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it said
wait.
Cyberpunk 2020. Yeah, I did.
Nominee.
All the game-breaking bugs the executives hid in Cyberpunk 2077.
Man. We didn't give this one to... We didn't give the last one to that place, so maybe we should give this one to this one.
Okay. No.
All right, argue your case. Go ahead.
Game-breaking bugs are bad, and the fact that they hid them are bad, but they're not internment camp bad.
Oh, that's what you're going on. Fair enough. I was going to say because we didn't give the last category to CD Projekt Red, we should give this one to Cyberpunk 2077.
No, the Oscars don't just give them one at a time just to balance it out.
Come on, it's
They
even
give it to
Stevens. That's how I want to do it. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, you know what? Fine.
No,
Let it be
you're
known,
right.
listeners, let it put on record that Matt David thinks that game-breaking bugs and hiding them are worse than internment camps.
That's not at all what I meant, but okay.
Nah, okay, fine. You can. I know that's not what you meant. You're just. You're right that we did already reprimand them for that in the last category. So, okay.
No, but I tell you, if you look at things as like worst, like the things that just upset your stomach, the things that make you so, like, you start seeing red because of how mad you get about something in general, internment camps are near the top of the list. Rather than a CGI face, rather than sound mixing where somebody didn't do their job right, and that stretches to game-breaking bugs, rather than something that shouldn't even be included. So I guess, by process of elimination,
The winner is the area with the internment camps they filled in for Mulan. Good job, Mulan. I mean, bad job.
we'll see if it sweeps the categories, because our next one is works we'll rip off the least.
AKA least favorite work from 2020.
And nominee number 1 is
Mulan.
Mulan. We'll see. We'll see if it sweeps. We'll talk about it more. Nominee.
Tenet.
Nominee.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Nominee.
Warcraft 3 Reforged.
All right, we haven't talked about this one, so you got to talk about it a bit.
It's like a remastering of Warcraft 3, which came out in 2002. But they promised a lot of things that they didn't deliver on it, which that happens a lot in games.
I was about to say that we've already been talking about that.
But they kept advertising the things after the game came out as advertisements for like get it now, and those weren't in the game.
Oh, that's sleazy.
They also replaced the old game with the new one, so you have to play the new one, and the contract with making the maps beforehand is way different. Like League of Legends and like Smite and that whole genre.
I know of it, yeah.
It's called the MOBA genre, and the MOBA genre started out. I mean, like it was a little bit earlier, but it really like Dota, Defense of the Ancients. There's one called Dota,
which was like a patch of Warcraft 3, wasn't it?
It was a user-made map of Warcraft 3 that was really popular. When Dota 2 came out, it's its own standalone game.
Yeah.
So the whole genre that proved to be so popular, it knocked off Blizzard's like strategy game sort of dominance off the map and replaced it with this. It slipped out of their fingers because they said, "Oh, we don't actually own this. This is your thing." And Blizzard really wants to avoid that like in the future.
Makes sense. Try and protect your IP.
So they said that everything that you make in the map editor is owned by Blizzard, and there's nothing you can do about it, which is like... So...
Fair enough. Really stringent, but hey, better than having something like Dota 2 that has arguably more success that you can't even claim because it was based
League of Legends,
on your game.
League of Legends, which was inspired by that. Like Dota. So yeah, and Smite, which is also inspired by that. Like all this whole genre, you just slipped out of your fingers, and it's just, You
missed the boat. All right, last one. Nominee.
Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. Now you explain this one.
Yeah, this is one I added. I actually, from the site I mentioned earlier that normally talks about sports, but they did like Last of Us Part 2. Somebody had played it in advance, and somebody did a book review of Ready Player 2. Now, I have not read the first or seen the movie.
I've read the first paragraph of the second book, and boy, oh boy, it smashes together a lot of pop culture references for the sake of pop culture references.
Well, I mean, it obviously is something that the author enjoys. I mean, the first one was filled with many of the same things.
Right.
And Steven Spielberg, I believe it was,
turned it
into a film. And I've heard that the book to the film adaptation was kind of strange because of rights issues and whatnot. So, like, in the Japanese release, they had Ultraman, for example. And I think it was in the book, but not in the
movie,
US version.
I think it was the Iron Giant or something.
Right. And the whole thing is basically reliant on its... You have to understand these things to appreciate the references, but they come like a mile a minute. There's so many of them, and they're all smashed together with no real basis for people who don't understand the joke. And I've heard that Ready Player 2 doubles down on the things that were in Ready Player 1.
Right, which, in some areas that makes sense for a sequel.
It does for a sequel.
But like when you rely...
But it makes it even more inaccessible.
Exactly. And also, when you rely on references to other things, like Ready Player 1 and the Ready Player game, movie, books,
series,
the franchise, it relies so much on these outside sources that when it comes down to it, what is Ready Player 1?
It's a mismatch of sources rather than being its own thing.
It loses its own identity. Like,
okay. it never had its own distinct identity to begin with, I think.
Yeah, which in today's like interconnected world is kind of, it makes sense.
I can see why it's successful, but like, I'm sorry, you're doubling down on the things that make it hard for people to read. You are leaning even further into the skid in the name of making it bigger, but it basically accomplishes the same thing from what I read in this review. I obviously don't know myself. And that, to me, screams not a good idea.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
A terrible idea. Now, maybe Ernest Cline gets really lucky and he gets a lot of royalties from this book and he'll be inspired to write Ready Player 3. And oh God, what's going to come out of that, geeks? Let us know. But I honestly can't bring myself to care.
If in Ready Player 3 he throws in Megazoic, because by that point my books have gotten big enough, I'll give him a pass. But even despite that, it's still not as bad as Internment Camp. So
It's not as bad as Internment Camp.
So I think we're going to have a clean sweep here. Unless you would like to, I don't know, do you think any of these others? Like, I don't know, like, the only thing I have against it is that Mulan, as a movie, wasn't terrible. It was boring and bland and not good, but it wasn't offensively bad.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we're taking offense at that one aspect that they gave money to an actual internment camp.
Yes.
But that's not the whole movie, is it?
No. And I know that, like, I don't agree with this, but a lot of people let a lot of terrible things that filmmakers do slide because the art they create from that is so good. Like Stanley Kubrick, like, doing some things that abuses his actors.
Yeah.
But in a way that like makes them really good performances, which I argue is never worth it. But some people would be like, oh, but the art itself is good. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's not really separating art from the artist, is it?
It's like you've heard of the movie.
If that's being a heinous person in the name of better art.
It's like, have you ever...
You can't really do the thing that I normally do is separating, oh, well, he made Clockwork Orange, so he must be great, even though he was an atrocious human being. No, Clockwork Orange was a product of him being a terrible person.
Right, exactly. Well, and also, like, have you seen or heard of the movie Birth of a Nation?
Heard of it.
It's a movie from 1917. It's well regarded on many film circles because it pioneered a lot of filmmaking techniques that we still use today.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is a movie about the heroic Ku Klux Klan going off against the monstrous black people who are all white actors in blackface. And it portrays the Ku Klux Klan as these noble patriots that are fighting the good fight for the country. So
No, I was about to make a, for me, charged political statement of God. We're kind of devolving back to that in 2021. Anyway.
Well, thankfully, I don't think there's going to be a movie. There shouldn't be a movie.
There shouldn't be a movie.
There might be a movie.
Who knows? It might be like Tiger King, which is not one of our nominees here, so we can't use that as a winner.
Anyways,
I'm tempted to go with that, honestly.
With that? The one you have...
Yes, the one by my cursor.
I mean... It's also not a bad game, though. Or not a bad... I kind of...
Spoilers!
Well, no, it could be. It could be. We have two, so...
I don't know. Like, for me...
Actually, none of these are bad, really. They're not that bad, except for maybe Ready Player 2.
Well, Ready Player 2 is just
and also
good.
Warcraft 3 is also not good. So.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's not good, but it's like our least favorite work. When you put the entire package together, Mulan has not just that one thing that we are so adamantly
It's got
against.
A lot of other things wrong with it, but it's not like...
Hey, they could have cast a white chick to be Mulan.
That's true. They didn't go that far.
And Tenet, some people really do like because obviously it's Christopher Nolan and he's an auteur and, you know, even beyond the whole you had to go to theaters to see it, which we are not okay with, obviously.
Right.
But now there's a way around that. It'll eventually come out on DVD if you want to see it, and you can still see it safely. And he got his wish. And theoretically, there wasn't too much dramatic, like immediate, devastating fallout from it, right?
Okay, well,
Whereas Cyberpunk 2077, you literally can't finish the dang game because they didn't finish the dang game. There's bugs in it. Literally, you can't play the thing. Like,
yeah, I think you're right. In terms of like the work as a whole, the work on its own,
right?
Regardless of everything around it,
everything else, I think Cyberpunk 2077 is the worst.
All
now,
right.
again, because I am so underqualified talking about things I don't know.
No, you know what? I think you're right. So,
the winner is
Cyberpunk 2077. Boy, we're gonna piss some gamers off.
Well, we're not gamers, so what do I care?
All right, well, that's it for this week. A huge thank you to all our patrons so far.
Yes, thank you very much for your support. If you're interested in finding out about that, check out patreon.com/Matthew Donald.
Indeed. And also rate us on Apple Podcasts. That is always helpful.
Yep. Any place you're coming to us, thank you for doing so. If you could leave us some comments, ratings, that really helps us because we know what kind of things we can do better.
Right. All right, well, contact us at mattd@methodoncareer.com for any general questions to either co-host.
If you want to talk to me, say David. You want to talk to him, say Donald.
Yes.
Because we share Matt D, obviously.
Of course. If you want to follow me personally, you can follow me at Methadone Creator on Facebook, at Methadone64 on Twitter, and Methadone64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because that's how many dollars I have to my name. I mentioned I'm a starving artist, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I have less than that in my wallet right now, so.
Well, you still got something in your wallet. What do I got? Oh, I got lint?
It's not your wallet. That's your pocket. There's a difference.
That's my belly button, anyway.
Thanks for tuning into the Witties. We'll be back next week with more.
I'm Matt Donald.
And I'm Matt David. Until then, keep on writting and stay safe and all
wash
that
your
stuff.
hands.
Yeah, that'd be good. Until then.
The Writ.